Hi, I'm Christine Brookins, and this is Connecting Our Community. Today, I have the honor of speaking with Courtney List, who is the Development Director for the Three Rivers region of Special Olympics, Pennsylvania. Thank you for joining me.
So happy to be here. This is my first podcast. I'm really excited.
Yay.
Yes.
Well, as we jump in, we're starting with your title with Special Olympics, and you're relatively new to this role, only 6 or 7 months?
Yes, I started at the end of October.
Okay, and here we are, end of April. So, as the Director of Development, what do you do in that role that supports the mission of providing the training and competition to athletes with intellectual disabilities?
Sure. So much of my role is revolved around strategic growth and fundraising within our region specifically. So looking at ways that we can become more efficient in our programming and finding ways to fuel the mission.
I love that. And you talk about the region. The region is 10 counties?
10 counties, serving about 4,000 athletes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 15,000 athletes across the state of Pennsylvania, about 4,000 here within the Three Rivers region.
And I'm glad to hear that we're back up to 15,000.
We're back up to 15 and growing. I think we're at 15,300.
So. Because post-COVID, I know we had gone down to only about 13,000. And we've just done a lot with engagement to get back up where we are now.
We have, and we're still trying to find creative avenues to bring more athletes in. We have 21 Olympic-style sports, but looking at other programming and other activations to get some new athletes re-engaged.
And I'm realizing as I'm saying this, I keep saying we. That's just my default.
You are a part of it.
Well, I am. I mean, I've been a volunteer coach, all of those things for close to 20 years now. So I feel like I am part of the organization. But I think, one of the things I do know, you're relatively new to the role, but the role that you're in 20 years ago didn't even exist.
Not even. Yes, not even. We are so heavily reliant on volunteers like yourself to not only fuel our training sites, but also to fuel us from a regional level and create all of these opportunities. We can bring in more athletes and create more opportunities without folks like you. And my role is really to support you all and everything that you're doing for the athletes.
Well, that's great because I think we work well together. Well, I love being involved in the organization, but let's talk about you. Can you give us a little bit of background on you, where you come from and what you do?
Sure. So I have been involved with Special Olympics for about 20 years as a special needs sibling. My sister Danielle's 24. She has a rare genetic disorder called CDG, congenital disorder of glycosylation, a little bit of a mouthful. And so she is a wheelchair user, and she has really enjoyed playing bocce and bowling and just really making friendships within the key sport area. Special Olympics has been a great resource for her. She's made some lifelong law enforcement friends. And so it's been awesome to take my experience as a special needs sister and then kind of transfer it into a full-time role.
I love that. And I have to admit, I did a little bit of creeping. I can tell that you and Danielle are really close because she seems to pop up in about a third of your Instagram posts.
Yes, we are combined at the hip. She is my person. She's my purpose. We are so close. We love having car rides in the car, jamming out to different songs and getting ice cream. And yeah, as much as we can do together on a day-to-day basis, we do. You did your homework.
Well, this was not homework. This was easy.
Yes!
So,
this was from last year's happy hour plunge.
Yes. So I do the creeping, but at the happy hour plunge for the polar plunge last year, I know your sister was speaking, and I want to say that was the first time that Special Olympics did that happy hour plunge.
Yes.
So in your role, you get very involved in those kind of things. You were just a sister that day.
I was just a sister that day. This was our friends at Calgon Carbon hosted a happy hour for all of the plungers. It was one of the first years that we executed the corporate plunge as part of the Pittsburgh Plunge Weekend. And they asked if they could spotlight Danielle as their athlete feature. The Pirates came and the Penguins, and they provided her with some fun gifts and made her feel so special. And I will say, she is so outgoing and so determined. There's the amount of bravery that she has is something that I wish I had an ounce of. She got up in front of a crowd of hundreds of people and spoke and she had a mic drop ending, and I would have been shaking. She lives for it. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
At one of the torch run events a couple of years ago, she sang the national anthem at PNC Park to kick off the Be a Fan Law Enforcement torch run. That is something I could never do. So we definitely learn from each other. And
yes,
I don't know, I think I love her way more than she could ever love me, but I don't know. She's just has the biggest heart, and yeah, she's the best. She's my reason why.
I love it. I love it. And I have had the opportunity to interact with her at different tournaments and fundraisers, and I think met your mom through some of that also. But you yourself, the sports isn't foreign to you. You were an athlete in school, weren't you?
I was. I played volleyball. I started in 7th grade, and I played through my first year at Point Park University. I really loved it, and then the professional gears kind of turned on and took over, but I loved playing volleyball. I played several sports in my upbringing, so it's always been a part of my character, and I think it's a big reason I'm so coachable today. And so it's been really cool to go for a full circle and now be doing it and working for a sports organization full time.
Yes. I mean, what a good fit, right?
Truly.
So let's talk about that a little bit. From an educational and career standpoint, you have a background in marketing and public relations, but you've also worked with sports organizations. I guess when we bring it to this, why Special Olympics?
So funny. When I got my start, I made really close friends with a former executive director at Special Olympics, Jess DeVito, and she really took me under her wing. I was able to intern for Special Olympics my freshman year of college. It gave me such great learning experience to really start off my career. And I took those learning experiences and I said, okay, I like the sports thing, I like the community relations thing, let's see where it takes me. And I worked for a lot of the major professional sports organizations in Pittsburgh, and I loved it. I thought for sure this is where I want to be, this is the career path that I'm going to take. And then you get older and life has different plans for you. And so I was getting ready to graduate college at Point Park, and I think I might want to go back and get my master's. So I landed full-time in a nonprofit role at Point Park, got my master's degree, and then COVID hit. And trying to get a full-time job in sports, which wasn't happening at the time.
Right.
And the paycheck that came with that was not one that I could afford to take. And so through my network, I found an awesome job in marketing within commercial real estate, and I loved it.
Okay.
I worked there for 4 years, and the opportunity at Special Olympics came up, and I just couldn't resist going back to my nonprofit, my sports roots, and to work for a mission who's done so much for my family and our community of folks with intellectual disability. I couldn't say no, I couldn't pass it up. So I'm so happy to be back. Only been back for a couple months now, but it's been an awesome start.
Well, I love that you refer to the mission, because, you know, Special Olympics is more than just a nonprofit organization. There really is a movement to keep people off the sidelines, getting athletes involved. So I guess, you know, your role is crucial to supporting all of the programs. And I guess in that, we should mention that the athletes don't pay for any of this.
Yes.
So your role in development is huge to support that effort. To you, what do you think is the biggest contributor to that, or where we're really seeing the most support?
There are so many different avenues. I think I've been taken over by how much excitement and passion our community has. We have the best supporters in the Pittsburgh community. I think Pittsburgh in and of itself is just, the way that we show up for each other is beautiful. And the way that we just had a record-breaking plunge this year, $1.2 million for our athletes. Yes. And that is because of our community. They really rally behind this mission and our athletes. And the only way for us to continue to grow and provide more opportunities to more athletes is if we continue to get more funding. And just the way that folks have showed up, from both corporate sponsors to peer-to-peer fundraising to just everything in between, grants, you name it. It has been awesome to just feel everyone knows what Special Olympics is, but they don't understand the depth of which we support our athletes
right
on and off the playing field. And so it's been really awesome. It's been one of my favorite parts of the job so far, is just seeing the joy that we bring to our athletes, but also the joy that we bring to our spectators and our supporters. They really care about this mission. And it makes my job a whole heck of a lot easier when I don't have to sell anything. Come to a bocce practice, come to a track and field meet, come see flag football. You're going to experience the joy and you're going to take that home with you.
I agree. So with all of those experiences, is there one that stands out to you that like, that's the one that just gave you that real feel-good feeling that you'd want to replicate for other people?
I've had so many since starting. There's so many days that I sit back and I can't believe that this is what I get to do for my everyday job. When I first started, we did a flag football play day. I was with our Unified Champion schools, and I was really just there to learn and to help do lunch service. And my jaw hit the floor when I saw the level of plays and the level of talent and skill that were happening. My background in Special Olympics, I mentioned my sister's a wheelchair user. We do Special Olympics for the joy in the community. We make friends, we have pool parties. That is my experience with the organization. To then step in and see the level of competition that happens, that it just blew me away. I've been in awe, and I think that's been one thing that I've taken with me. In almost every meeting, I bring up how incredibly talented our athletes are. This is way more than just joy and opportunity. This is truly competition, and there are wins and there are losses, and there are cheers and there are tears, and
True.
Everything in between. And this is our purpose. It's been really incredible to see.
I love that. And before we got started, we were talking about one of the athletes that I've coached in swimming. When you talk about competition, when Freddie can swim 400 meters, I mean, I can't even think about that. And he does this competitively. And we have a lot of athletes that their performance during the competition so outshines any person that would attempt to do what they do.
It's incredible. We had our all team meeting yesterday, and we had a gal speak who just competed on Team PA in World Winter Games in Italy. She has also competed in both speed skating and skiing in World Winter Games in Japan and Korea.
Wow.
And seeing her, Team PA brought home 10 medals from Italy this year from World Winter Games. And it's been so incredible to see their level of talent. I wish I could compete in half of the activities that our athletes do. I could not swim 400, that's for sure. I may be a 25.
I joke that my son does 5 sports on 3 teams, and I coach all of them because I can't help myself. But I also tell people I am certified in sports that I cannot play. And, that is the thing I recognize as a volunteer. My participation allows other people to participate. So let's talk some of the numbers. I know we talked about the number of athletes has come back in great numbers since COVID, and that's great. But who are we serving? Let's talk about those folks. So let's let people know, what are the ages?
We jokingly say 8 to 80. Really, we serve from 2 to 7. You can be involved in our Young Athletes program. And then at 8 years old, you can really start to take part in the competition that Special Olympics offers, and you do not age out. So anyone with an intellectual disability can take part in our offerings. We have 21 Olympic-style sports offered year-round free of charge. And it's been great since COVID to see there's a lot more crash training happening. So instead of I just do soccer, I just do bowling, we're now seeing folks compete in more than one sport, which is great. They're getting engaged and they're staying engaged, but that's not possible without our volunteers. So we have about 4,000 athletes here in this region, but we have about 5,000 volunteers helping to support the movement, and none of that is possible without our volunteers. And I think your story is one that is very relevant to a lot of folks. My dad also helps to coach a training facility in McKeesport. He knows enough to be dangerous, but maybe not. He's not a pro in any specific sport. And I think that's kind of a commonality. Our closest supporters are those who have a direct correlation with the mission and the cause. And I think a challenge for us is we try to grow and expand is how are we recruiting new volunteers that want to come, not just for an event, not just to hand out lunch at Western Spring Sectionals. How do we get folks who want to come in and help lead a training site for 8 weeks and they want to coach swimming or coach their sport? I think that's something that we could really use more support in.
Well, you mentioned it earlier about come out and see something and you'll feel the joy.
Yes.
I think that is step one, right? If we can get folks engaged, come offer your hour of time at a competition. Maybe you are just handing out lunches, but now you see what's really going on. And when you see the smiling faces and you see the medals and you realize it's a real competition. And let's be honest, there's a lot of folks out there that have a lot to offer. They just don't know that we need them in Special Olympics.
Yes. And I think too, they don't know where they could be most helpful. And we really appreciate our folks who help with lunch and our corporate partners who come out to support us. And I think just taking it to the next level, we are involved in almost every community around the Pittsburgh area. And so there's likely a track meet or a track practice happening in your neighborhood over the course of the next month that you can directly get involved with. So I agree. I think it's a little bit more of education on our part and awareness.
Well, hopefully what we're doing today will add to that awareness. But you just mentioned that, you know, in almost every neighborhood, there's something going on. And we talked the big numbers. But let's bring it to how people get involved. You have a lot of athletes that start in schools. Mm-hmm. So tell me about the Unified Champion Schools.
We just celebrated our 500th Unified Champion School in the state of Pennsylvania, which is huge. That is over 6,000 students who are now really focused on fostering and empowering inclusion within our school systems. And those sports that you can take part in your Unified Champion Schools are bocce and track and field. We just had our bocce state championships. Blackhawk High School won this year across the entire state, which is a huge win for the Three Rivers region. And so that is really a way, it's recognized as a PIAA sport. You can get involved with Special Olympics, and both the Unified platform has both athletes and partners. So students with and without intellectual disability are competing for Special Olympics within our school systems. It's incredible the friendships that are being made, the involvement, but to your point, we need to really retain those folks and promote that, okay, if you really love this format, we have 20 other sports that you can play within your community free of charge. So it's been awesome to see how our students do both, where they finish high school and they're on to their next opportunity in life, and Special Olympics is right there, a part of their journey.
I love it. And it is growing so greatly. I saw posts about reaching the 500 schools. So I went looking and I had information from 2022 that at that point there were 265 schools. So in 3 years, that's nearly doubled. And at every school, how big is a team?
So the Unified Champion School is really an entire school community saying, I want to be involved with this. And then as they create their clubs on school grounds, and they create their bocce team and track team, it kind of varies. I would say bocce is definitely our most popular sport, especially in our UCS programs. And they range. South Park just competed at our state championship. They had enough to fill 2 teams.
That's awesome.
This year, which has been incredible.
Yeah. No, I love that. That just shows the growth there. And then when we talk about what might be in your own backyard, let's talk about if they're playing in high school, then what?
Yes, community-based, and you can even do community. Say you want to do swimming and that's not offered in your Unified Champion School, you as an athlete can join and be a part of the community-based activations. And those happen also year-round, free of charge to our athletes. And all of that information of the sports that we offer are on our website. We'll be launching a new registration system come May 1st, which is exciting, more user-friendly. So we're really excited about that. So any new athletes can sign up right there, and returning athletes can learn about the sports signups that are upcoming.
Well, and there are more sports now than there ever have been. We have more people competing in those sports, and that switch, I guess, your transition from the Unified Champion School to the community sports teams, I think, like you said, maybe you're doing bocce in high school, but now you find a community team that does swimming or soccer or basketball or track and field or whatever it would be. there's so many opportunities. And you were mentioning those winter sports that took place at the World Games. I know when my son first started, I didn't even know that there was speed skating and that we have downhill skiing and sports like that that don't just literally happen in your backyard. There's got to be a place for it.
Yes. I just witnessed alpine skiing for the first time. I didn't really know what it was, but we hold 5 statewide competitions across the state of Pennsylvania annually, one of which was held at Seven Springs, our outdoor winter games. It was incredible to see over 300 athletes coming together to compete with one another right at Seven Springs. And skiing, snowboarding, alpine, it was really awesome to see. And to your point, it's not a sport that you can necessarily play year round. You can't practice it in your backyard necessarily. Right. So it's awesome that they have the opportunity to do some of these really cool experiences for free.
And was this the first year that they added snowshoeing? Was this the first year, at least here, or had it always been something and I just recently learned about it?
I think I also recently learned about it. I think it's been an offering on the larger Special Olympics level.
Okay.
But this is one of the first years that we've offered it at Seven Springs.
That's really nice, though, because that is something I guess you don't have to be able to do the same types of things as maybe with downhill skiing or the skating or whatever else would be required. And I also have to say that opening ceremony at Seven Springs was pretty phenomenal.
It was incredible to see the torch come in and the cauldron be lit coming down the mountainside. It was incredible. An awesome light show took place after. Our athletes loved it.
It was. I loved it. I mean, I was impressed by it, and I didn't even stay to compete. So, those types of things, it's great that you have the community involvement to give it that level of really Olympic level competition and attention. And I understand, I didn't see it happen, but the mobile plunge unit was there also, wasn't it?
The mobile plunge unit was there. So we have a new mobile plunge unit in the state of Pennsylvania. It is an awesome opportunity to get more folks plunging in the winter months who may not go to a regional plunge site like the Pittsburgh Polar Plunge. So it was incredible. We had a few hundred plungers, a lot of which were from Seven Springs community. So that was really awesome to get them engaged and get them to be a part of it. I'm excited. We're at South Point Mobile Plunge is in the works for November. Fingers crossed.
Yes. So I think that will be a great engagement in Washington County. As you mentioned, the Pittsburgh Polar Plunge, really, because it takes place in Allegheny County, pulls in a lot of people from there. But now that we're working on an opportunity to truly engage members of the Washington County community, the law enforcement, the businesses, and the athletes, I'm really looking forward to that and having that mobile unit. And it's funny because people are like, what? Somebody asked me, so is there a pond up there? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Special Olympics brings in their own. But this is a great fundraiser. So for anybody that wants to take a dive and freeze for a reason, it's another opportunity. But it's not the only opportunity. So let's talk about some of the other maybe smaller things. What are other things that people are doing to help support the mission and the movement?
Sure. I think giving time and talent, as we've talked, volunteerism is the largest way that you can show your support for Special Olympics. And the other is through generous gifts that we receive throughout the year. So plunge season is our biggest season. Pittsburgh Polar Plunge is held at the end of February. Date to be determined. We'll be announcing that here shortly. And then we'll have at least 10 mobile plunges this year, which is really exciting. To your point, getting folks who are maybe not engaged as much in the Allegheny County. But I was so impressed when we met of how engaged Washington County is and how many folks were missing as part of our plunge weekend. So excited to engage them. But we have several other events. We recognize jumping into cold water is not for everyone. I do it at least once a year. Not my favorite, but I'm getting better at the cold plunges. But there are many other ways that you can get involved throughout the year. We have our BFAN Law Enforcement Torch Run coming up on May 13th. It's an incredible initiative. We have really wonderful law enforcement partners that we're so grateful for. Law Enforcement Torch Run is pretty interesting. It started in 1981 in Kansas, and it has grown to be a national movement. And our law enforcement officers here in PA are incredible. They've raised over $600 million
Wow.
since the start. So it's been really awesome to see it continue to grow into polar plunges and TIPA cops and plane poles across the state. And we just keep growing it, which is amazing. So that's another area that folks can get involved with. And then I don't want to steal the thunder of Uncathlon. That is really your baby.
Yeah, no, I can't claim it my own, but I've been involved since 2017, and we really love doing that unified sports competition, because the whole idea when it came together, and it was Shannon Barry, who's now the president of the board, but when he came up with this idea, he had no prior involvement with Special Olympics. And doing that unified sports competition, the whole idea is we're exercising, we're trying to be healthy, but we're doing it together. And I really have enjoyed that the community teams come together to do that. But my role has been to match the athletes with the teams, and that's been so much fun. And one of our athletes, John, the first year that he did it, he is in his early 20s, I think, and he requested that Dad drop him off. He didn't need a parent there. And when all was said and done, I said, "So what did you think, John?" He says, "Oh my gosh, we should do this every Sunday." And since then, he and his family have gotten more involved. Last September, so the team that he worked with was the Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire. So last September, we had kind of a team fundraiser for Uncathlon. And I'm telling you, I go to tell John things about the firefighters said this, and he already knows. He's connected to all of them on Facebook. He's got first thing, he wants their numbers so that he can text them. And that's really what it's about, that unified event that really brings the community together. I also, when we're looking for teams for that, I tell people, I mean, some teams are out for blood. Most teams are out for laughs. There is a competitive nature. It is a competition. But seeing how the teams work with the athletes and how they figure out what is the best way for the Special Olympics athletes to participate in the running, the jumping, the throwing. And in the past, we've had some mystery events. So it's been fun also, but it's been a good fundraiser. We're not at plunge level on that one yet, but imagine that. If we could be at 1.5 million for both, we'd be able to support so many athletes.
Truly, it's awesome work, and I'm excited for I've been involved in one Uncathlon a few years back, but I've not seen it at Peters, so I'm excited to get involved this year and see it.
Yeah, because your sister did it when it was outside at Shenley Park, right?
She did with her law enforcement BFF, Pam DeGuffroy. So it was incredible to see it and to watch and be a cheerleader, but I was not involved in any of the physical agility happening that day.
That's okay. I think when I'm at Special Olympic events is when I do get a lot of exercise. My step count is up on days that I'm running back and forth to try to accomplish something or help someone with something. But the folks that participate in all these things, whether it's a polar plunge or the Uncathlon and the sports competition, I think it's just an awesome way to get the community involved, because I think whether they know it or not, they already have these people in their families, in their communities, at the workplace that they need to know more about. And why can't our athletes be out there competing at the Olympic level sports?
Absolutely. We were talking about it earlier. Everyone has some type of a tie to the cause. And it's been really cool to see, as I've met more people in this role, to hear all of the stories of, oh, I used to volunteer. Oh, my cousin is an athlete. Oh, you have to see this photo from Facebook of all of their medals. Everyone has a tie, and it is just so powerful that we all are in this together in unity to provide more opportunities for our athletes.
So in your role as the development director, what are the things that you're really focused on, to I guess, promote the engagement and be able to financially support what we need to do? Where are you focused these days?
I would say that's pretty much it. Focus on how are we bringing in funding for our organization, what are the best streams for us to do that? How are we maximizing Pittsburgh Polar Plunge, for example? How are we focused on peer-to-peer fundraising and making our team captains feel like they are such an advocate and truly a rally for our community to get more involvement. So that is really my main focus, and making sure our volunteers really feel appreciated and heard, and how are we best supporting those folks. So it's a very incredible job that I get to do. It is very humbling and it's very rewarding, and it's really just making sure that we continue to move the needle to support more.
And I think there's already a great deal going on there, and clearly just in the years that I've been involved, the staffing has grown, so the ability to support it has grown as well. I do think that, years ago there was one person handling an entire county, and God bless her for what she did, but now the ability to get support is huge. So I would tell anybody, get involved any way you can. I will guarantee you will experience the joy that's related with Special Olympics.
Truly. Yeah, we're able to do more than we ever have, hosting over 700 competitions annually at this point, 5 of which being statewide. And so all of that is because we're able to continue to grow and to scale, and with that comes more opportunities.
And I know we talked about, you can go to the website to explore the sports.
Yep.
You said there are over 20 of them.
Yes.
We've mentioned several of them today. I know my son does soccer, basketball, track and field, swimming, and bowling on 3 different teams. You mentioned some of the winter sports.
Yes.
And Seven Springs. I know that there are gymnastics and there's equestrian competition. I probably couldn't even name all the sports.
You did pretty good. I would say you got about 80% there. Yeah, we have 21 Olympic style offered in the state of Pennsylvania.
And I know that we have a friend who's trying to get volleyball up and running in Westmoreland County. So that would be awesome if, we bring that in as well. And I guess for anybody that has any background in athletics, whatever they're doing, if we're not doing it yet, bring the idea.
Reach out. Yes. We will take any and all ideas.
And we definitely want to get more people engaged. So come and check out an event, volunteer, and hopefully folks will find that they really belong with Special Olympics.
Yes. Yeah, all of the information, whether you're interested in being a volunteer, an athlete, checking out the sports, want to give, all of that can be found on our website, specialolympicspa.org.
Awesome. And this video that we're recording today is scheduled to be released on April 23rd. So following that, I know we talked about some of them. You mentioned the sign up for the next season.
Yes.
That is...
So summer signups are open through May 15th, and then our fall signups will go May 15th through July 15th.
Okay.
And that can be found on our website.
All right. And then we talked about there being a state level competition. What are the dates?
So the summer games will be taking place in early June at Penn State.
Yay.
It's really awesome. We have over 2,000 athletes competing and over 750 coaches going to support. So that will be a really awesome. It's our largest statewide event held every year. So excited for that.
It's going to be huge. And, if anybody wants to stop by and see things at Penn State, that would be an awesome way to really get a feel for how big this is and just the joy of the organization. I know that I've been involved for so long that I tend to use we, that I'm belonging to the organization, but I do think that that's what you bring out in people. I do want to ask about your sister. What does your sister think about you working for the organization?
She loves it, and it has been so great for our family in regards to balance. Shifting from professional to home life can be really challenging in households like ours. And so being able to have a job that Danielle can be a part in. We had our law enforcement torch run conference a couple weekends ago, and she was able to come with me and be a part of it. And so it's helpful in previous jobs, when Courtney has to go away for a conference, it's I'll be home in a couple of days and I'll see when I get home. But now she can be a part of my day to day, and she advocates better than I could.
That's
and
amazing.
So it's a benefit to the organization, but it's also just a benefit to the balance of our household. So more time together is always a good thing.
I love that you brought it up that way, because oftentimes it is that balance, and when you can bring it together, that has to help a whole lot. I would also just personally, and I would imagine you may agree with this, that getting involved in Special Olympics, you're meeting other families that are like yours, so you're not alone.
Yes.
And when you're seeking that balance, somebody else might be able to tell you how they've found it. When you're seeking a resource, you may have your family member competing alongside of somebody else that already has access to a resource that you don't even know about.
Yes, it's easier to feel normal, as we would say, and it just feels like you belong. You have your community. If you're having a bad day and you need to vent, that community they get it, and it's nice to feel like you don't have to explain maybe a certain behavior or what your family's going through, because the other folks in the room get it. And you were kind of a pioneer in regards to your son's care and identifying opportunities. Danielle was the first person diagnosed with her rare disease in the state of Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And so I give my parents a lot of credit, because they had to learn a lot on their own. But now that they've learned the process, they know how to best service Danielle, we're able to share that information with other folks. And so it's awesome to be kind of a pathfinder and be able to share with other community members of how best to maneuver in the system.
Well, and that's what it is. It's truly a community, an inclusive community where everyone is welcome. I think that, some of the things about finding the other people, and honestly, it's not just about the sports and the competition and winning the medals, it's the social aspect also. I would also point out that, because I've had people say to me, oh, my son or daughter can't run. This isn't about running. It is competing wherever they can, however they can.
Yes, and we have far-ranging sports offered. In every sport, you will be paired up with groups who are consistent with your ability level. So truly all abilities are welcome here and encouraged.
I love that. And then I don't want to finish without mentioning some of the other efforts within Special Olympics, so it's not just the competitions. Can you tell me a little bit about athlete leadership?
Sure. So Special Olympics, in addition to offering sports, we also support our athletes in both leadership programming as well as health opportunities. Special Olympics is the largest global organization who holds health records of folks with intellectual disability. And we're able to use that data and that information to help provide more healthy opportunities for our athletes. There is unfortunately a 20-year life shortage for our athletes compared to a normal, atypical person. And so for us, it's how do we expand their life? How do we not just create joy, but create more opportunity? So the health screenings is incredible. We've conducted over 15,000 since the start of our health screenings.
Wow.
But then on the other side of that is leadership. How do we make our athletes feel like they truly belong and they are successful members of society? And leadership training is an opportunity that helps our athletes learn how to do public speaking, how to get a job. And we found that they are 5 times more likely to land a job through our programming.
Oh, that's awesome. So with that leadership and the speaking, is your sister, is Dee a global messenger?
She is not.
Okay.
I think she'd be great. She has that extra level of sassy spiciness that she would be incredible at it. We haven't tapped her into the community just yet. I'm working on it though.
I've been really impressed, the global messenger athletes that I've met, that, maybe you have a fundraising event and you want to drive home why we want to raise money. When the athletes can speak for themselves and tell you how much they enjoy the programming, that's it right there.
Truly.
And that leadership training to teach them how to do that, it is, like you said, it will help them in all other aspects of their life.
Yes, and I believe applications are open currently for athlete leadership. There's going to be a training in Washington, PA, actually later this summer.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I did see something about submitting an application to MC an event.
Yes.
And then get considered for more.
Yes, those applications are also open. Our athletes love to sing the national anthem, love to MC. So sign up if you are interested.
That's awesome. I love it. Honestly, I could keep you here all day. There's so much that you and I could talk about, but I really just want to thank you for sharing your time, your talents, and all this wonderful information about Special Olympics. Thank you.
Thank you for supporting.
Always, always.